You've interviewed Bill Murray. Your last interview for Esquire was Bill Murray. How many times have you interviewed Bill Murray?
Maybe not countless, but it started in 1998. I think when Rushmore was released was the first cover that I was involved in.
How difficult is it just to track Bill down to set up an interview with him?
You don't track Bill down. He's untrackable. You get a vague commitment to show up at a point in time, and up until that point in time, you're not quite sure whether Bill's going to show up.
But this is what happened the last time you were told, go to JFK Airport.
Right. My boss drove us out to JFK, had a photo shoot arranged. Maybe Bill's going to be on this flight. We know that his son is assistant coach at Xavier playing that night in the tournament. And you just go and you hope that eventually the escalator down from the arrivals is going to bring you Bill. And there he was.
But does he know what he's doing to people?
I think there's a power thing involved. I don't think there's anything malicious about it. I think, like an angel almost. You count on him to appear, to show up. It's a wonderful life when Bill Murray shows up. I do think there's a power thing involved. When my wife's doing that to me, I certainly think there's a power thing involved.
So is he the Jimmy Stewart of comedy, as It's a Wonderful Life?
I think of Hank's more like Jimmy Stewart.
Yes, he's a modern day.
Yeah,
yes.
I've tried hard to find a comp for Bill, and I really can't. Will Rogers, who no one remembers, was kind of a monologuist with a lasso. He was the voice of the people at a time that seems like it's 1,000 years ago. Bill Murray represents, I think, something particular to Bill Murray. I don't think has been anyone like him in American popular culture. I can't find a comparable icon.
What was the interview you just dreaded?
Well, Taylor Swift, which it turned out to be great, but I knew very little about her, little about her music. And I've been writing about bad boys, Mickey Rourke, Sean Penn types for 30 years and athletes. So Taylor Swift, I pulled an all-nighter studying, reading up, listening. So that one was scary to me. A 24-year-old, beautiful, talented, gifted young woman. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the ones that you don't know about that turn out to be good, as opposed to sometimes you have ones that you know about and then they somehow turn out bad.
Yeah, I've never gotten over that sense that it's a first date situation. This could go wrong. It went wrong with Nick Cage a long time ago.
How did it go wrong?
Well, the chemistry was bad. I was trying to lighten it up, and I made a joke. he had won the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. Then he had done a series of Jerry Bruckheimer produced.
What was the joke?
That those action adventure movies, The Rock or Con Air, are kind of like porn. Certain number of things that occur just to buffer the blood. And he took it the wrong way.
Well, but wait, it's
maybe
not
he
really.
Didn't take it.
Yeah, but if I'm listening to that, I'm going. It feels like you're critiquing my work and making a statement, not hey, let's laugh together about this. And Nick Cage is a pretty serious dude.
Serious dude, a little bit loopy. Is the reputation. It felt that way to me. I was crammed into a small yellow Ferrari, and I was trying to get a read on. You always wonder why people make the choices they make. So after you win an Oscar, Best Actor Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. What leads you to commit to a series of movies that kind of, in terms of acting, I think in Con Air in particular, there's a lot of scenery.
I think you just wanted to get paid.
I think it took me a long time to figure that out. There are money jobs. Yeah. You don't know when they're going to stop asking. You got mouths to feed. Yeah.
Did you interview Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yes. Yeah. It was not an entire year before his OD, and he was as skittish. As nervous.
Was he high?
No, I don't think so. We met for lunch in a cafe near where he lived. I don't think
you didn't look back and go. Were there any telltale signs of?
No, and we skirted around the subject. I have my own history, and it's not the kind of thing I bring up lightly in any interview. But that was before subsequent to the interview and before his death, he had gone through rehab. But that was after our lunch. and the rehab was supposed to be a really one of these 5-day kind of super. I'm not sure of the nature of it. It clearly failed in his case, but one of the reasons I think I'm glad to be out of the magazine business at this point is the need to produce instant obituaries for the .com, for the website. When someone like Philip Seymour Hoffman passes, there are people who are good at it. One of the things that struck me over the years with Lou Reed, Ike Turner, Paul Newman, Robert Altman, people that I've interviewed who have since died. It's not that I pretend to be friends with any of these people, but with Philip Seymour Hoffman in particular, you really get a sense not just of time passing, but of the loss.
Lou Reed seemed angry at the end of his life. Yeah. Was he angry his entire life or just at the end of it? Because he certainly... Did he feel slighted with his music that people forgot about him?
I'm not sure.
He left a lasting imprint, though.
He did, and he kept producing music of great interest to a smaller and smaller audience. I think he was more of a poet than a musician. I don't think he was ever that comfortable with the celebrity or with the influence of the Velvet Underground. But when I interviewed him, we mostly talked about deli because he didn't eat deli anymore. No pastrami. He was a very ascetic guy. And I remember saying to him, it's great. It's the only time I've ever gone to see you where I haven't thrown up. When I used to go see Lou Reed on tour, it always ended badly.
Would you rather interview a musician or a comedian?
Comics are the best. Comics are the best, whether it's Seinfeld, Doug Stanhope, Patton Oswalt, Chris Rock. These guys, and younger guys coming up, I just saw a guy named Sam Morrill. Sam, I'm sorry, I can never get it right. But what I'm saying is they're self-educated, but they're brilliant. And they're alive, and there's no self-censorship.
But do they have better stories than the musician?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, it depends. If you're a guy who I would have loved to have tried stand-up, then yeah. I mean, it depends on the listener. To me,
But didn't you mention to Seinfeld that you'd be afraid to try stand-up?
I think I love doing this kind of stuff. I think going out there with a microphone by yourself on a stage, however many people going, come on, make me laugh. I think as far as performance art goes, outside of certain sports, that's as much pressure as any human being can withstand. Scares the hell out of me. Yeah.
Sandler wanted to write 15 minutes of comedy, and he wanted me to do it and then film it. And he wanted me to do it in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And just sort of, he said, you can do it. And I said, I don't want to do that. Because, if you walk out there, you almost have to shed skins, I think, to get out there. Because you can't, unless you're a star where you walk out there and they're waiting for you. Yeah. If they don't expect you out there, you've got an uphill battle. Like half of your set is to kind of gain their confidence.
You are masterful at things you have worked at thousands of hours.
Yes.
I wonder if Sandler was sandbagging you and setting you up. I mean, it's a compliment. It speaks to his respect, but I think you were right to go, nah.
No, there's just certain people that's what they do. All right, so Believe Land, are we going to cry on Saturday night?
If you're not a Clevelander and not a Cleveland fan, the only point at which I would go so far as to say you might cry, to see an athlete like Ernest Biner, the running back for the Browns during what could and should have been their glory years, to see him turn to the camera and basically apologize to the Cleveland. I mean, those guys, this as well as I do. We sit, we talk, we think, we write. Those guys go out. They live it
every single day,
and they leave it all out there. And just that moment in Believe Land is 30 for 30. So much respect. So thrilled to be a part of that lineage. This is as good as it gets.
Well, I'm sure that people still ask Brian Sipe about the interception he threw.
Red Right 88.
Yeah.
I mentioned that to Drew Carey once, and the tape just went quiet for about 10 minutes.
Well, he takes it to heart, too.
Oh, my God. I mean, those were the cardiac kids. We didn't know there was a curse or a legacy of this kind of horror, that we were young and naive. We actually thought they were going to beat the Raiders.
No, that's a different horror. There's the Horror of Akron.
Yes.
That's a different horror.
Yeah.
Spelled differently.
Yeah.
We'll wait for the sequel for the Horror of Akron if the Cavaliers happen to win a championship.
Oh, there might be out there, win or lose. It just won't be called You're Welcome, Cleveland.
He's Scott Raab. The 30 for 30 is Believe Land. That'll be coming up this Saturday, 9:30 Eastern on the Mothership. Great to see you again, Scott. Thanks for stopping by.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.